He was called Black Jesus in the streets, a poet, a prophet, a weapon wrapped in words. Tupac Amaru Shakur was more than a rapper. He was the beating pulse of a generation that felt invisible,
Tupac was a king of rap.
forgotten, and furious. By the summer of 1996,
Thug life, that's my comment.
he had done what few believed possible. He had climbed from homelessness and poverty to become the most dominant force in hip-hop. 6 top 10 singles, sold-out tours, a film career that had critics reaching for new words. And yet, for all the fame and all the money, danger never left his side. It walked with him like a shadow he couldn't shake. September 6th, 1996, 11:30 at night. Los Angeles is warm and alive. Tupac steps out of LaLacy Studios in downtown LA, fresh from shooting his latest music video. He's 25 years old. He is at the absolute peak of his powers, but within 24 hours, everything will end. After the shoot, he drives through the glittering LA night to his mansion in the suburb of Calabasas. He's exhausted. He sleeps. And when morning breaks, his cousin Jamala reminds him of a trip they've been planning, a trip to Las Vegas to celebrate their birthdays, born only days apart. He wanted us to celebrate together, Jamala would later say. It was supposed to be something special. Tupac isn't enthusiastic. There are family matters pulling at him, unresolved tensions he wants to face back in Atlanta. But his manager pushes, his label pushes, and eventually Tupac goes along. He packs a bag, leaves his LA mansion, and sets out for Las Vegas. It is the last journey he will ever take. To understand how Tupac Shakur ended up bleeding on the streets of Las Vegas, you have to go back to where it all began. Back to East Harlem, New York City, 1971. Back to a woman named Afeni Shakur, a member of the radical Black Panther Party, pregnant and standing trial. Afeni had been arrested along with 20 other Black Panthers, charged with conspiring to bomb buildings across New York City. She represented herself in court. Pregnant and facing life behind bars, she cross-examined witnesses, delivered her own arguments, and ultimately won.
He wanted me to celebrate our birthdays together in Vegas.
I was captivated by the Black Panthers, she would later say, by the reality of them, by their sense of service. After spending 15 months in and out of jail, she was acquitted. And on June 16, 1971, just 1 month after her release, she gave birth to a son. She named him Tupac Amaru Kamalu Shakur, after an 18th century Peruvian revolutionary. The name translates roughly as shining serpent. I believed,
and it was obvious there was some other family issues that he wanted to deal with back in Atlanta, and he wasn't really keen on the whole Vegas trip, you know what I mean?
Afeni said, that giving a child a powerful name empowers him. But a name alone couldn't protect him from what came next. His father, also a Black Panther, was rarely present. The family sank into crushing poverty. There were stretches when Afeni and her children had no home at all, drifting between shelters and the apartments of whoever would take them in. By the time Tupac was a teenager, he had lived in more places than most people visit in a lifetime. In 1986, a lifeline appeared. Afeni moved the family to Baltimore, Maryland, and managed to get Tupac enrolled in the Baltimore School for the Arts, a rare and remarkable public high school where students were trained as dancers, painters, musicians, and actors. For the first time in his life, Tupac found his people. The environment for artists is different, a classmate recalled. It's freer, less restrictive. He fell in love with Shakespeare. He studied ballet. He discovered rap. And he discovered that he was extraordinarily good at all of it. Tupac always believed he could have it all, a close friend said. He could be an incredible MC and an incredible actor. He saw no limits on his potential. But the peace didn't last. At home, things were falling apart again. Afeni had slipped into drug addiction, a truth she would later confront with brutal honesty. I found drugs, she admitted. My answer was crack. And that was a lie I told myself. In 1988, unable to protect her son from the chaos of their home life, Afeni sent 16-year-old Tupac across the country to stay with a friend in Marin City, California. Marin City was no paradise. The one thing they're known for, a friend recalled, is a fist fight. Tupac, small, wiry, and from the East Coast, had to fight his way into respect. But he had something the streets rarely produced: absolute fearlessness. He feared no man, no woman, no child, no animal, his friends said, because they can only kill you once. In 1990, a 20-year-old Tupac Shakur was still trying to survive in Marin City. No money, no label, no real plan. Then came a phone call that changed everything. Shock G, the founding member of the Oakland rap collective Digital Underground, had noticed Tupac. Not for his rapping yet, but for his energy, his hunger, his raw electric presence. He offered Tupac a job as a backup dancer. It wasn't glamorous, but it was a door. Shock G saw that Pac had no home to go back to, a friend recalled. He gave him an opportunity, and Tupac seized it with both hands. Suddenly, the kid from Harlem and Baltimore and Marin City was touring the world. Japan, London, Italy, Australia. He was watching how the music business worked from the inside, studying the stage, absorbing the craft. And it didn't take long before he stepped out from behind the dancers and picked up a microphone. The response was immediate and electric. Pac was a master, a bandmate said. He could take your style and do it a little bit different, or a little bit better, than you. By November 1991, Tupac had his own record deal and his debut album, Tupacalypse Now. The record was a shock to the system. It didn't just rap, it testified. Over hard, unrelenting production, Tupac gave voice to people who felt the system had abandoned them. The poor, the imprisoned, the mothers raising children alone in the middle of a drug war. When he put that pen to paper and opened his mouth on that mic, a friend said, it seemed like every song he wrote was taking the blood right out of him. The album was controversial from day one. A vice presidential candidate called for it to be banned. A lawyer used it as a defense in a police shooting trial. But Tupac didn't flinch. If anything, the attacks only sharpened his resolve. He had songs that talked about women as if they were nothing, one observer noted. And then a whole other set of songs where he put mothers and black women on the highest pedestal imaginable. He was full of contradictions, because he was full of truth. In 1991, he took his second dream and made it real. He starred in Juice, a gritty New York crime drama in which he played a young man seduced by power and violence. The film was critically praised, and Tupac's performance was startling in its intensity. From the moment Juice came out, everybody was talking about Pac, a friend recalled. It was obvious he was on the verge of something really major. He began to believe, really believe, that there were no limits to what he could do. In another 10 years, a childhood friend told him once, "You're going to be the most powerful man in America." Tupac didn't even blink. "Yeah," he said. "Watch and see, I am." Fame arrived for Tupac Shakur like a flood, but so did trouble. And not all of it was manufactured by the media or the police. Some of it, honestly, was Tupac himself. In 1992, he was arrested for allegedly attacking a limo driver. In 1993, charged with assaulting another rapper with a baseball bat. That same year, charged with attacking film director Alan Hughes. In Atlanta, Georgia, he was arrested for the alleged shooting of 2 off-duty police officers, though he was later released without charge. The pattern was becoming impossible to ignore. The man who rapped about injustice was increasingly living inside it. "You've got to understand where he came from," a close friend explained. His family's history with law enforcement. There was no love lost there. Tupac had no patience for authority, and he had no intention of pretending otherwise. When a reporter once asked Tupac for a comment outside a courthouse, he looked into the camera and said simply, "Hell no, thug life, that's my comment," then walked away. But on November 30th, 1994, the violence stopped being something that happened to other people. It came directly for him. Tupac was in the lobby of a recording studio in Times Square, New York, when a group of armed men approached him. They demanded his jewelry, and when he hesitated, or when they decided not to wait, they shot him 5 times at close range. The bullets hit his legs, his hands, and his head. He survived. Barely. Incredibly, against his doctor's explicit orders, Tupac checked himself out of the hospital less than 5 hours after surgery. He had a court date the next day. He arrived in a wheelchair, wearing a bandana over his head wound, and stared down the courtroom with defiant eyes. A jury found him guilty of forcible touching, a felony sex abuse charge stemming from an accusation he furiously denied. He was sentenced to up to
For me, the Black Panther Party was a way to legitimately express my anger.
4.5 years in prison. To many of his fans, it felt like an execution by paperwork. Pac was the one with the biggest mouth, a friend said, and he said it to anybody, anytime, anywhere. I didn't think they were going to take it this seriously. I didn't think it was going to be a matter of life and death. Inside the Clinton Correctional Facility in upstate New York, something seemed to shift in Tupac Shakur. He publicly denounced thug life, the very philosophy he'd made his brand. Some believed him, others weren't so sure. Jail will make you say anything to get out, one friend said bluntly. But getting out wasn't easy. Tupac's legal battles had drained his money. He was stuck. And that's when a phone rang in a prison office, and the voice on the other end belonged to a man named Suge Knight. Marion Suge Knight was not a man you said no to. The CEO of Death Row Records stood 6 feet 2 inches and carried himself like someone who had never once considered the possibility of losing. Death Row was the most feared and successful rap label in America, home to Dr. Dre, Snoop Dogg, and a roster of artists whose music had reshaped popular culture. And Suge Knight ran it with the iron fist of a man who had never separated business from menace. His offer to Tupac was simple: sign with Death Row, and Suge would post the $1.4 million bail that would walk Tupac out of prison. In exchange, Tupac would record 3 albums for the label. Tupac signed. "I never saw the contract," a family member recalled. "I just remember the phone call, him saying, 'I'm on death row now, I just signed.'" Within days, Tupac Shakur walked out of prison a free man. Death Row put him up.
I think Tupac always believed he could have it all. He could be an incredible and talented MC. He could be an incredible and talented actor. I think he saw no sort of boundaries or limits for, his potential.
Up in the posh Peninsula Hotel in Los Angeles. They gave him studio time, resources, and a platform. And what Tupac did with that freedom was extraordinary. All the anger, all the grief, all the defiance that had been building inside that prison cell, he poured it directly into the microphone. The result was All Eyes on Me, a double album released in February 1996 that went platinum within 3 weeks. It was the fastest-selling rap album in history at the time. But freedom came with complications. Tupac had survived the streets, survived 5 bullets, survived prison, and now he was tied to a label connected to gang culture in ways that made his own security team nervous. Death Row had deep associations with the Bloods, one of Los Angeles' most powerful street gangs. And Tupac, who had always insisted he was about money, not colors, found himself at the center of an escalating war between coasts, between labels, between men for whom reputation...
Which makes it even more incredible, the kind of the guts that this dude has, because he fears no man, woman, child, animal, none of that. Because they can only kill you one time.
...was worth more than life itself. Privately, he had already made a decision. When his contract was up, he would leave Death Row. He believed the label wasn't giving him a fair cut of the enormous revenue he was generating. His mom and his immediate people knew the reason, a source close to him said, and that reason was enough. But contracts don't expire overnight. And in the meantime, the summer of 1996 was here, and Suge Knight had a trip planned. Las Vegas, a boxing match, a concert, a birthday weekend. What could go wrong? September 7th, 1996. Las Vegas, Nevada. Tupac Shakur and his entourage roll into the city shortly after 3 in the afternoon. The desert air is hot and electric. The strip shimmers in the afternoon light. There's a heavyweight title fight tonight, Mike Tyson versus Bruce Seldon, and then a concert at Club 662, where Tupac is scheduled to perform. The night is supposed to be a celebration. His girlfriend Kidada Jones, daughter of legendary producer Quincy Jones, is with him. So is his cousin Jamala. But Tupac insists that both women stay behind at the hotel. "He begged us," Jamala later recalled. "He kept saying, please stay upstairs. Don't go downstairs." Even then, something in him seems to know. At the MGM Grand, the mood is electric. Tupac hits the craps tables, and by all accounts, he's winning big. His security guard, Frank Alexander, watches from nearby. He had about 10 grand in his pocket, Alexander recalled, and it was burning a hole in it. Around them, the casino buzzes with the energy of fight night. Women, music, the roar of the crowd. Tupac is at the center of it all, the way he always was, gravitational. Then, at 8:35 in the evening, Mike Tyson steps into the ring against Bruce Seldon. The fight lasts less than 2 minutes. Tyson is ferocious. Seldon goes down. The arena erupts. And backstage, Tupac is feeding off the energy, still talking about the fight. 50 blows, man, 50. He knocked him out. He is alive in a way that makes people around him want to lean in closer. But as the group moves through the MGM Grand's lobby, something shifts. A member of Suge Knight's staff, a man named Travon, pulls Tupac aside and whispers in his ear. He spotted a man in the crowd, a man from the Southside Crips, a Los Angeles street gang. A man, Travon says, robbed him a few weeks earlier. Tupac Shakur, still buzzing from the Tyson fight, still high on the night, makes a choice. He crosses the lobby. And before anyone fully realizes what's happening, fists are flying. The man on the floor is Orlando Anderson. And the death row entourage joins in, kicking and punching until the security pulls them apart. Frank Alexander drags Tupac away. The group disperses. The lobby goes back to its noise and its lights. Orlando Anderson picks himself up off the floor. No one knows it yet, but the clock has started. Back at the hotel, Tupac is still riding the wave. He bounds into the room where Jamala is waiting and reenacts the whole thing like a man who just won the title himself.
And we can't even go to the fight. We can't go to the parties. He don't even want us downstairs. And he kept saying, please, he begged us, please don't go downstairs. Please, y'all stay up here.
You wouldn't believe it, he tells her. I did a 1-2 on the dude. I knocked him out. A straight Mike Tyson. He's grinning. He's electric. He's Tupac. But a question follows him quietly into the room. Did anyone see? Did the Crips see? Did word travel the way? Word always travels in a city full of eyes? While getting dressed, a member of his crew approaches.
As we're walking by, hey, that's Tupac. You hear the whispering, oh, that's Punk. You get the groupies and you get the fans, screaming Tupac.
Him with a suggestion. Put on the vest. You've got enemies tonight, Pac. You should put on the bulletproof vest. Tupac shakes his head. It's too hot, he says. I'm not wearing that tonight. It's too hot for it. It's a decision that will haunt everyone who loved him for the rest of their lives. After a short stop at Suge Knight's mansion, where the walls and furniture are dressed almost entirely in red, the color of the Bloods, the convoy prepares to head to the Club 662. But at the last moment, Tupac approaches Frank Alexander with an unusual request. Instead of riding with Tupac in Suge Knight's black BMW, Alexander is asked to drive the Outlaws, Tupac's backup group, in the Lexus behind them. Suge wants to talk privately. Alexander objects internally, but he obeys. Suge Knight and Tupac Shakur slide into the front of the BMW. The convoy moves out into the Vegas night, heading east on Flamingo Road toward the club. The strip is alive. The lights are blinding. The bass from some distant speaker system thumps through the warm air. At the intersection of Flamingo and Koval Lane, the convoy slows for a red light. Frank Alexander, one car back, watches through the windshield. He sees a white Cadillac pulling up alongside Suge's BMW. He thinks nothing of it. This is Vegas on a Saturday night. Then the arm comes out of the window, and the gun starts firing. The shots are rapid, professional. A spray of bullets tears into the passenger side of the BMW. 4 of them find Tupac Shakur in the chest, the arm, the thigh, the hip. 1 bullet grazes Suge Knight's head. The Cadillac accelerates and disappears into the Vegas night. After the Cadillac shot into the car, Frank Alexander later said, I thought they were dead. Suge Knight, bleeding from his head, driving on adrenaline, spins the BMW into a U-turn. The car races away from the intersection, damaged, tires slowly losing air. It doesn't get far before it blows and coasts to a stop. When Frank Alexander reaches them, Tupac Shakur is conscious. Barely. He is bleeding from 4 gunshot wounds to his body. And this time, unlike New York 2 years earlier, there is something in his eyes that looks like more than pain. Suge Knight kneels beside him in the street, cradling his head, as the first sirens begin to wail in the distance. The ambulance reaches University Medical Center at 11:17 p.m. Tupac Shakur is still alive, but barely. Surgeons work through the night. His right lung, punctured by a bullet, is removed to stop the internal bleeding. He is placed into a medically induced coma. When Kidada Jones and Jamala arrive at the hospital, the world has already fractured. "We was cussing and crying and mad," Jamala recalled. "And what was going through my mind was, we just went through this in New York. We just went through this." When she is finally allowed into the room, Tupac is surrounded by tubes and machines. "I never thought he was going to die," Kidada later said. "Not one time did I actually think he was going to die." That's the thing about Tupac. He had survived so much, so many nights that should have ended differently, so many bullets that almost found him, so many...
He would go, listen to what I said. "Oh my God, the boy is nice." And this is how he would say it. He'd be like, "Oh my God, the boy is nice. Yo, Jamala, listen to this. This is how I kick it." And he would recite a little verse out that song. And he'd go, "Ooh, I'm so nice. I'm so nice. I'm killing them. I'm killing them." I'd be like, "Pac, he is crazy."
Courtrooms and prison cells and hospital beds, that the people who loved him had started to believe somewhere deep down that he simply couldn't be destroyed. For 6 days, the vigil holds. Family, friends, industry figures, fans outside on the sidewalk. The news cycles through updates every hour. The world watches and waits. There are moments, his doctors say, where he seems to stabilize. Moments where hope climbs. But on September 13th, 1996, at 4:03 in the afternoon, Tupac Amaru Shakur is pronounced dead. He is 25 years old. The silence that follows is immense. The streets of Los Angeles erupted. In the 10 days following Tupac's death, 12 shootings broke out across the city, retaliatory strikes between rival gangs. 3 people were killed. 22 were arrested. A city already cracked along fault lines of race and poverty broke a little wider. The investigation into who fired those shots from the white Cadillac on Flamingo Road was stonewalled almost immediately. Witnesses refused to talk. The code of the streets held firm. Theories multiplied in the vacuum.
When they give you authority over their lives as their parent, that they can withdraw that authority. And my children withdrew it. I didn't take it back. They gave it back to me.
Some believed the attack was retaliation by the Southside Crips for the beating of Orlando Anderson in the MGM lobby just hours before. Others pointed fingers at Biggie Smalls, Tupac's longtime rival, who would himself be shot to death just 6 months later. His murder also unsolved. Some whispered darker things, that Suge Knight had known, that the deal gone sour, the contract Tupac was trying to escape, had made him a liability. No one has ever been charged with the murder of Tupac Shakur. And yet, in death, he became something even larger than he was in life. His catalog continued to sell in staggering numbers. Albums recorded in his final months were released posthumously.
Well, Pac, you got to realize of, where he come from and his family's history with the police. And they hated Pac. They hated Tupac.
I don't know if it was that his heart was a Black Panther heart. I don't know if that was it, but Tupac just had no patience for law enforcement, and I don't know that he had respect for law enforcement. And so I think, why were the authorities mad? Because Tupac was thumbing his nose at them and worse.
He entered the Guinness Book of World Records as the highest-selling rap artist of all time, with over 75 million albums sold worldwide. His mother, Afeni, clean, sober, and carrying the weight of his legacy, founded the Tupac Amaru Shakur Foundation in 1997, dedicated to supporting young artists from disadvantaged communities. The University of California, Berkeley, introduced a course on his poetry and history. His words were studied in classrooms, quoted in dissertations, cited in political speeches. They lost a great man, a close friend said. An activist, a poet, a rapper, a brother, a friend. He was one of the great ones. He wasn't perfect, but I think people loved him all the more for that. Tupac once said he was going to die young. He said it on records, in interviews, in private conversations with the people closest to him. He seemed to know, in the way that some people just know, that the fire burning inside him couldn't be sustained forever. What he may not have known, what none of us could have known, was how long that fire would keep burning after he was gone. Tupac Amaru Shakur, born June 16, 1971, died September 13, 1996, age 25. His killer has never been found.